Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Performance Racing League Season 16. And after much deliberation and popular request, Tier 2 on Sunday has returned to PRL after a very large break. But we've got quite a turnout so far. It was looking a little bit lower couple of minutes ago, but it looks like we're going to have at least 16 drivers racing today. Welcome everyone back to PRL. It's been a while since I've streamed, but I felt that Tier 2 on Sunday deserved at least an initial go at streaming just to get everyone aware of the tier being active. So, before we get everything going, we are still in the pre-game lobby. So what we are going to do is we're going to go through a little bit of introduction. Going to go through a little bit of introduction of the drivers currently in Tier 2. As so a couple of new faces, a couple of old ones returning. So we're going to go quickly through the roster. Now, of course, some drivers have just joined the server the past couple of days, so apologies if I am not familiar with you so far. I will learn your names throughout the rest of the season. But for now, we are going to go in order from top to start. So Rusty Oil Can, of course, it's a veteran of PRL. J Story, of course, just got promoted to be an admin in PRL. Congrats to him. Justin, another returning veteran, took a couple seasons off after F125 came out. Cac Supreme, relatively new driver to PRL, joined a couple seasons ago, started his journey in midweek. Gold Killer, relatively new driver. Frosty, returning veteran once again to PRL, starting in Tier 2. Bingo Jimbo, I believe, is a brand new driver, so welcome to PRL. Craig, another veteran. We all know Craig. Ghost Viper, another driver who just got promoted to being an admin. Congrats to Ghost. Rossi Games, of course, a veteran who hasn't raced too much the past couple of seasons, but is back in a full-time seat. And we will continue the names of the drivers once we get into the lobby. So, once again, welcome everybody. It's nice to see your names. Nice to see everyone watching, giving Tier 2 a nice introduction back into PRL. I'd have to check, but I believe it's been at least 4 seasons since Tier 2 has been active. Let's take a look. Let us take a look. Yep, Season 11 was the last time that we saw Tier 2 on Sundays. And it looks like your current top 3 driver in Tier 1, Joe Bidome, was the last driver to be a Tier 2 champion. After that, he was promoted to Tier 1, of course, but there was only one tier after that, so he would have been automatically promoted anyway. So, who will follow in Joe Bidome's footsteps? 14 race calendar, and we don't start off at an easy one. We are starting off in Baku, one of, if not, the hardest tracks on the calendar. How will these Tier 2 drivers react? Who will come out as an early favorite after this race? We will see. But as we set up the information, I'm going to go down a couple of lists that I don't think I mentioned. Side Demon used to race here. I don't remember which seasons it was, but I do recognize the name, so welcome back Side Demon to PRL. Ruin Rogue, relatively new driver to the league. Robsu, of course, mega PRL veteran, hasn't raced in a good while, but returns to Tier 2 to make his reemergence into PRL to see if maybe he can be the next Tier 2 champion. Of course, you mentioned Rossi Games, J-Story, veterans like Justin. We got Frosty back in the lineup, another PRL veteran. Tar Heels, of course, looking for more success after switching to all no assists. And of course, going to all no assists while you're racing against very quick drivers kind of puts a damper on your spirits, but hopefully Tar Heels sees more success in Tier 2 and is able to challenge at the front. Dozen, I believe, is a new reserve. who just joined the league, so welcome to PRL. We mentioned Rusty and Gold Killer, another new driver new to PRL. So, we are missing a couple of full-timers. But going through, I will go through the full-time roster very quickly while all the drivers set up for their first flying laps. Alpine, Gold Killer, and Kona Colada. Aston Martin, led by Justin and PWR Jesper. That's going to be quite the team to look out for. Ferrari, driven by Fierce Lion and Litkin. Or what is that, Kittle backwards? Haas, led by W. Butler and Frosty, a couple of PRL veterans. McLaren, led by Rossi Games and Glucose. Mercedes, CAC Supreme and Ruin Rogue. Racing Bulls, J Story and Tar Heels. Red Bull, Ghost Viper and Bingo Jimbo. Sauber, Rusty and Craig. And finally Williams by Spark Hashira and I'm Goofy. Now we're going to head to the front of the field as Justin TK, or KT, starts his first lap in a good while. Heads into turn 2, very smooth, no anywhere contact with the wall as he heads down the first DRS straight of the lap. We're going to hide the UI a little bit here as we follow Justin through the first qualifying lap of Tier 2 on Sundays in a good while. A little bit of snap of oversteer as he heads into Sector 2 through this tricky left and right-hander. It's very easy to get wrong if you hit that inside curb. He gets off very well as he enters the castle section. Of course, lots of mistakes made here. Very easy to make mistakes. Justin takes the initial corner very well. Heads into the castle section, close to the wall, but not close enough. As Justin makes it through the castle section very cleanly as he heads through the final sector of the race. We all know this very popular sector. All beans, full throttle. But he has to get through this tricky left-hander. That catches out a lot of drivers, and we've seen a lot of damage caused to drivers on that corner. Heading into a relatively quick left-hander, and the Sector 3 portion of the track begins. Full throttle here for Justin. How much downforce does he have? Put this up. Initiates his DRS. Has enough ERS to make it to the end of the lap. And it is going to be a 1:39.83 for Justin. Very good lap from the Aston Martin driver. I'm pretty sure it's very competitive. And it looks like we've got Craig about to finish his lap. It's going to be a 1:41.1. We've got a lot of drivers crossing the line here. Bingo Jimbo a 1:41. Ghost Viper a 1:42. Frosty a 1:40.7. Craig with the 1:40.1. I'm Goofy with a 1:41.7. Ruin Rogue a 1:42.2. Followed by his teammate CAC with a 1:42.8. And Side Demon with a 1:41.5. As well as Frosty with a 1:40.7. Lots of drivers finishing their laps there. Obviously, it's very difficult to catch all of them. But ahead of the field so far is Justin KT in the Aston Martin. Now, this might not surprise a couple of you, as we know Justin was a relatively competitive driver in the higher tier. Of course, hasn't raced in a while. His pace definitely dropped off. But we will see if he can continue this success throughout the season. A good start for the Aston Martin driver. Tar Heels with a 1:44.8. Just a banger lap. We all know Tar Heels is not a big fan when it comes to qualifying. And it looks like everyone else has finished their laps. I believe Gold Killer has just started a lap. Oh, and we did get a lap finished, I believe. That was an Alpine or a Red Bull. I also didn't realize Rossi Games jumps to P2 with a 1:40.0. Yes, and I believe it was Robsu who just finished his lap, a 1:40.0. Puts himself in P6. So I believe, apart from Dozen, who is on his outlap, Gold Killer is the current driver who is setting a lap Very low ERS management, so maybe Gold Killer is pushing a lot with ERS throughout the corners rather than the straights. Rocking the number 99 Alpine as he heads into the castle section of the track. Very good. Doesn't come close to the wall. Nice and tight on the exit corners. Full throttle out. Uses a good amount of ERS. It looks like Gold Killer's ERS drop when he uses it is quite low, so perhaps Gold Killer is running a very low downforce setup as he heads into Sector 3 of the track. Quick left-hander. Gets out of there quite well. Now it looks like he is going to be quite low on ERS heading through this quick chicane. He's only going to have 6% battery. He's got a lot of battery usage left, but from what I remember, he started his lap with only 40% ERS. So this is going to slow him down a lot compared to his drivers, but he's still going to get a 140.8. I think there's a lot more in the can for the Alpine driver because that final sector is probably one of the slowest out of all the drivers who set a lap. We are going to jump to Dozen in the Haas. His first race in PRL. His first qualifying big snap of oversteer as he just entered Sector 2, now going into the castle section. Nice and smooth through that. Into the castle he goes. Takes it nice and easy, no problem through the castle section. A little bit hesitant as he exits it. He's got a lot of battery left. Let's see if he can make up some ground as he heads to the final straight at Baku. Through the fast left-hander once again. As you can tell, a little bit hesitant from Dustin. No problem, though. It is... I have no idea if it's one of his first league races or if he's raced a while, but he burns all of his ERS as he enters the final straight down to 5%. It's going to cost him a little bit of time. DRS activated. He's got nothing left. It looks like it's going to be a high 143. Indeed it was. A 143.8 puts him P15. 1 second ahead of Tar Heels, but 1 second back of CAC Supreme. Looks like we have the V-Carb of J Story on a lap. We're going to stay on board with him. And I believe he is using one of the custom V-Carb. Yes, he is. I don't remember what track that is from, but I do know it's one of the custom liveries. Enters the castle section quite close to the outside wall. Ooh, a little bit of oversteer, but honestly that might have helped him get a better exit onto the one of the final back straights of Baku. Aston Martin gets out of the way quite well. Tricky left-hander, don't get anywhere near the wall. He manages to avoid it. As J Story has 80% battery saved up as we head on to the final straight. Now, from what I remember, it's usually a better strategy to save a little bit of your ERS through the chicane and then burn it all down the back straight. But it looks like J Story may just have enough to burn it all the way to the start straight. Lets off a little bit, and he actually backs out. Let's see, who's next in line here? It looks like it's a Red Bull. That would probably be Robsu, who's on his outlap. Another Haas. Is that Dozen going for another lap? Does not look like it. Looks like we have a Williams. Nope, that is Tar Heels behind him, who is once again starting a lap. Do have a Mercedes. CAC Supreme 1 second up on his time as he enters the back straight. 71% battery. Let's see what the Mercedes driver can do. He starts burning it. This is where he's going to make up his biggest time if he didn't manage to use it during his previous lap. Bingo Jimbo, a 139.4, jumps ahead of the Aston Martin of Justin. What does CAC Supreme have? A 141.2, jumps up nearly a tenth and a half to P10. And Ghost Viper as well, just finishing his lap, a 139.7, very competitive at the top of the field. Looks like Frosty is just about to start his lap. I'm Goofy just finished his lap, jumps up to P7 with a 140.9. They are flying. This is more competitive than I thought it was going to be, because from what I remember, Tier 1, I think the qualifying times are around a high 138. So this is pretty impressive from the Tier 2 drivers so far. I'm happy we haven't seen any collision issues. We haven't seen any impeding. It is very easy to get caught out impeding on this track, so impressed with the drivers so far. Just trying to catch who might be on a lap. Looks like Rusty is. It says he's 0.6 up. Oh, and now it says he's 10 seconds down, so maybe a mistake from Rusty in Sector 2. Craig is going to be starting a lap. Cac Supreme as well. I do believe Ruin Rogue is on a lap, so we're going to stay on board with the other Mercedes. Yep, up a 10th. Wouldn't move him up a lot, but there's still a lot of track left. As he heads towards the castle section, you can make up a lot of time here if you cut the corner. You can cut the corner quite more than you think you can. Heads into the castle section very close to the wall, but does not clip it. Good exit out of the corner. Use a little bit of ERS on this straight. Try and maximize your exit speed as you head towards the very tricky left-hander of Sector 2, where we've seen a lot of drivers get caught out before. Good amount of curb, not close to the wall. Good on Ruin. He heads into Sector 3. How much time is he up? 0.6. Now that is more like it for the Mercedes driver. It will put him probably only one position up unless he gains a lot of time as he finishes his lap on the main straight. We will see. He's only got 30% ERS. We've seen a lot more drivers with a lot more ERS finishing the laps. So we are going to see what he can do as he crosses the line. Ruin Rogue going to be a high 141, a low 141, 1.1 seconds quicker than his previous time. That jumps him up to P10. Sauber currently in a Mercedes sandwich. And Robsu looks like he may have gotten into a collision. What is going on with the Haas's here? Looks like maybe a little bit of collision going on in the castle section. I'm not sure if Robsu was on a flying lap or not. Robsu did get a 5-second grid penalty for collision. It doesn't look like any of the drivers have damage, which is good. Oh, never mind. Is missing his right front end plate, so maybe a little bit of miscommunication. Maybe someone on their out lap and someone on their fast lap, and they just didn't get out of the way. That sounds like it will be a problem for the stewards. Robsu getting out of the way of the drivers behind him. Ruin Rogue not on a lap. Looks like Frosty just started his lap, so we're going to stay on board with the Haas driver. I forgot to mention, but I do love the drivers that try and match their helmets with the car. Always looks quite nice, and I will always give them a thumbs up for that. As Frosty heads down to corner number 3. Big snap of oversteer for the Haas, but he does manage to hold it as he heads to the entrance of Sector 2. How much time is Frosty up? Not much. Only 0.02 of a second. Still lots of track left to go, but obviously when you burn a pair of tires, you really do want to try and maximize how much you can get out of them, and I'm sure Frosty probably isn't very happy with that so far, but we will see what he's able to do. Very quick through the castle section. Good exit. Tries to maximize as close as he can get to the line. Nico John. We'll see. You were pretty quick in Tier 1 last year, buddy. Big snap of oversteer from Frosty. He's really trying to send that car around every corner he can. He's down a 10th, though. Can he make up any time? This is going to be his final lap. Down the main straight. What does Frosty have in that Haas? Is it a rocket ship? Did he just throw the car around a little too much? Can he gain any time? Maybe get past Robsu? No, he cannot. Stays P7. We're going to go on board with Rossi Games, who is 2/10 up, but he has no ERS left. Is he able to maintain that gap? Is he going to be able to get past Justin, who is in the distance behind him, about to start his lap? Battery depleted. Rossi's going to lose a lot of time here. 3/10 up puts him P2. Great lap from the McLaren driver. Looks like a couple of drivers are coming out of the pits. I think it's going to be a little too late for them, though. 1 minute and 23 seconds left. I think both Mercedes drivers have timed it a little too late, as we're going to go on board with Justin, who is starting his final qualifying lap. He only did 1 lap, and that is currently P4. I think Justin's got a little bit more in him. Can he get up to Bingo Jimbo, who is going to be starting his lap relatively soon? Very close to the wall. Fine margins for the Aston Martin driver, but that's how you gain time at this track. Oh, big snap. Justin manages to save it. I don't think he would have lost too much time through there. Purple Sector 1 for the Aston Martin driver, but only 200ths quicker than his first sector. So perhaps Justin needs to pick up a little bit more pace throughout the rest of the lap. Into the castle section he goes, very quick, doesn't get close to the wall. Very good exit, maximizes that corner, gets as close to the white lines as he can as he heads down to the tricky left-hander. You can gain a lot of time here if you get it right. Looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit of caution from Justin as he just wants to get this lap done. Entering sector 3, 3/10 up. I'm Goofy retires. I believe that is in the pits. 3/10 up for Justin. That's going to put him near Bingo Jimbo, but he's going to have to use a lot of ERS here. He might get a nice tow from the McLaren here. Maybe not enough as they're entering the pit lane. Justin down to the line. Is he going to steal pole? Yes, he does by just under a tenth. Justin jumps to a 139.3, but what does Bingo Jimbo have to say? He's 2/10 up as he heads to sector 3. Ghost Viper just a little bit ahead of him. Ghost up a 1/10.5. What does Ghost have in him? He's got a little bit more ERS than Justin did. Is he going to be able to improve? Can he get past Rossi? Can he maybe get past Bingo? As he heads to the line, jumps up a 1/10.5, does get by Rossi to put him on the provisional podium. Bingo up a 1/10.5. He's very low on ERS. Is this going to cost him pole? Oh, just gets past Justin, 0.5 And it looks like Craig just puts himself into P12. Robsu comes down the straight. He's up 0.5. What does the Red Bull driver have? 0.5 up. That puts him P5. Jumps J Story and Gold Killer. What a lap from the Red Bull. Here comes Rusty up a 1/10.5. Can he jump up to P9? We don't know because the game cut out on us. What a surprise. Rusty stays P10, so I believe he jumped up 1 position, but did not get past Goofy. Whew, what a qualifying to start. Of course, Robsu may have started P5, but with that 5-position grid penalty, he's going to start P10. But Bingo, Jimbo, Justin, and Ghost Viper are your current provisional podium on the qualifying podium as we head into our first race of Sunday Tier 2. Get ready, folks. It's going to be a good one. We will definitely try to have commentary for as many races as we can, Bedard. It's going to be difficult. A lot of our commentators do multiple tiers sometimes, so it will be difficult for them to just do every weekend. There will probably be weekends where there'll be no commas, but we will definitely try and do as many as we can. That is the best we can promise as of right now. So I usually love to ask all the people watching, what are your predictions for today's race? Usually we just do the podium, but we can do it a little different today. How about we do who do you think's going to win the race? Who do you think will be on the podium? And maybe we'll take a little bit out of the P1 podcast. Who do you think is going to be the biggest surprise? And who do you think is going to be the biggest upset? As of course we do have our formation lap on, so we do have a little bit of time to see how the drivers are lined up and stacked up. And of course, biggest thing, what are the tires? Looks like the top three have all elected to go onto the medium tire. Rossi Games in P4 goes to the hard. J Story splits a couple of hard drivers on the mediums. Gold Killer to the hards. Frosty and Goofy on the mediums. Rusty on the hards. Robsu, Ruin, Craig, and Cac all on the mediums. And then the final three, Side Demon, Dozen, and Tar Heels all on the hards. Rossi Games to win from Nico John. Of course, lots of different strategies you can use on this track. Medium tire drivers are going to try and pull away, get a little bit of a gap. Hard drivers are going to try and maintain pace with the slightly slower tire. As we can see, the game is predicting a two-stop. Tire deg is quite high here. So, of course, we are going to have to keep an eye on everyone's tire deg. Couple of predictions. Awoot thinks Ghost is going to cook. Upper thinks Rossi needs to save his ERS. Yep, I think saving your ERS is definitely would have popped him a little bit higher on the qualifying chart, but as of right now, still in a very good position in P4. Of course, Robsu did drop down to P10, so we're going to keep an eye on him. Maybe a little faster than the drivers ahead of him currently. Rossi beats his old teammate Ghost. It's definitely going to be a good battle to watch. As drivers head to the line, little bit of a gap between P5 and the drivers behind. Gold Killer holding up the drivers a little bit more. Looks like a couple of the drivers have elected to go past him. Of course, PRL does not have a rule in place for you to get ahead of anyone on the formation lap. We just ask that you don't do anything silly. As all the drivers line up, looks like Gold Killer did miss his box, so that's going to give him a little bit of a disadvantage, and he's going to be on the hards as well. Not what you want to see. Tar Heels lines up as the final car. Cac Supreme misses his box as well. Here we go. Fortunately, we can't see the lights. Oh, we can. Look at that. 3, 4, 5 lights, and they are away. Big snap of oversteer for Justin as Bingo takes a decent lead. McLaren on the inside. Looks like the top three hold their positions. Everyone seems to get away relatively cleanly as we enter turn 2. Little bit of 3 wide at the back of the pack. We do want to go a little bit further back. They're 3 wide. Little bit of contact. This doesn't look good. 3 wide into this corner. And the Alpine on the outside, it looks that was Gold Killer, just gets punted into the wall. No space. Very tricky corner to even go 2 wide, and 3 wide is a no-go. As we head to the back, or the front of the field, Bingo Jimbo has an early lead on Justin, followed by Ghost, Rossi, and J-Story. As we go to position changes, the top 5 have not changed positions. I'm Goofy. Barely misses the outside of the castle section, up 2 positions. Robsu up 3, no surprise there. Frosty down 1, Rusty holds P9. Side Demon up 4, and our biggest loser, of course, is Gold Killer with 2 front end plates gone and down 10 positions. He's going to have to make an early pit stop, and he is on one of his hard tires. Oh, and Dozen smacks the inside wall. Not sure if he made contact with Tar Heels. Tar Heels smacks the inside wall. As we follow Bingo Jimbo, getting chased down by Justin. Justin and Bingo already a second ahead of Ghost Viper. As we start lap 2, couple of gaps building. Nothing too crazy yet. J-Story just gets ahead of Goofy. Closest battle on track currently is between the McLaren and the V-Carb. Is Rossi going to go for the move? Doesn't look like he's using much ERS. Looks like he's happy to just stay in line and follow the driver ahead of him. As we go through the rest of the field, Gold Killer actually elects to go on even with the damage. Dozen decides to pit. He's going to be well back, but all it takes is a simple safety car or even a VSC to bring you back into the race. Bingo Jimbo leads Justin, and we do have a yellow flag. I believe that's Dozen. Maybe not heated up his tires well enough. Not a great start for the Haas driver. Looks like Robsu gets past I'm Goofy in a relatively tricky part of the track. Up 4 positions for Robsu after only 2 laps. Has elected to go for the medium tires, so he went for more speed at the start to try and make up those positions early as everyone was squabbling for positions. Frosty all over the rear of I'm Goofy, but Goofy does manage to hold off the Haas for now. Rusty also looking to make a move. As we head to the front of the field, doesn't look like Justin has close enough gap to make a move. Ghost staying at the similar gap of 1.2 seconds. J-Story and Rossi slowly dropping off the top 3, 2.3 seconds back. As Rossi does make a move on the outside. J-Story, relatively cautious, lets Rossi by. Very early in the race, there is no need to defend these positions super hard. Currently, there's a lot of racing left. And it looks like Justin just gets by Bingo with DRS. Does have a poor exit with that overspeed, but manages to hold off the Red Bull driver. New leader of the race, Justin KT. But of course, this squabbling is allowing the Williams of Ghost Viper to get back into the fight. Drops only to 9/10 behind the drivers ahead of him. As we head into the castle section, should be no passing here. We'll go through the grid really quickly. Everyone staying relatively in line. We do have a yellow flag, and it looks like... Who was that? Was that the Williams? It was the Williams of I'm Goofy. We did not see if he made any contact with another driver, but that's going to drop him a lot of positions after he had a solid start to the race. I believe he was up 2 positions, now down 7. As we head to the front of the field, Justin, not a lot of ERS. Bingo, similar story though. Ghost Viper, even less. Rossi Games managing to pull a little bit of gap on Ghost Viper, now down to 1.7 seconds. J-Story slightly dropping off Rossi. Robsu getting very close to J-Story. Robsu having a solid comeback for the race so far, and that's another position. Robsu 1.1 seconds faster that lap than any lap he's previously done, up to P5 where he should have qualified. I think we did hear a little bit of contact with the wall there. Everyone's wings are intact. We do have a couple of drivers pitting. I believe Ruin Rogue, Gold Killer, and Goofy may have been part of the contact in the castle section at the previous lap. So we head to the back of the field, or the front of the field. Gaps are relatively stagnant. The closest battle on track is Justin and Bingo. As we'll go back to the tires, Rossi, the highest positioning hard driver, currently at 4th, 1.7 seconds back of Ghost Viper. He's managed to hold on quite well on the hard, so this is looking quite good for Rossi if he's able to use the advantage of his tires. And it looks like Bingo had a little bit of oversteer, drops down to a 2nd back of Bingo. We did have a quick pass there. I think Craig managed to get by Frosty after a mistake, so Craig jumps up to P9. Currently the Saubers, both of them, have made up quite a good amount of positions here. Yep, Rusty up 2 positions, Craig up 3, Side Demon up 6. Definitely want to watch these three. It seems like they've made up a lot of ground from where they've qualified. So we head back to the front. It doesn't look like Bingo Jimbo was able to get DRS that lap. That's definitely going to hurt. He used as much as he could to try and bring that gap back down. Rossi Games only 0.6 back of Ghost Viper. Those tires might be kicking in here. The hards definitely last a lot longer than the mediums. The mediums are not good at this track for length. So Ghost Viper might be struggling a little bit here. Doesn't look like Rossi's going to push his advantage just yet. Oh, and they make a little bit of contact there. Rossi gives the tap to the back of Ghost Viper. No harm, no foul, though. Closest battle on track is these two drivers. So we're going to bring up their tires. Heading into the castle section, Justin holds about a second lead on Bingo Jimbo still. I think I heard contact with the wall there. Looks like Bingo Jimbo dropped a couple of tenths. Did he gain any damage from the castle section? It doesn't look like it. We're going to keep an eye on that because Ghost Viper is now only a second back after being nearly 2 seconds. Rossi Games makes contact with the wall, an impressive overtake, but does clip the wall a little bit. Doesn't look like any damage. That could have been a lot worse for the McLaren, but he does still manage to pull off the impressive move as he now takes P3 away from Ghost Viper on the better tire currently, on the hards. And Rossi Games now looks ahead to hunt down Bingo Jimbo. Justin with a solid lead of over just under 3 seconds. Rossi is definitely going to want to try and get by Bingo as quickly as he can to try and make up the advantage his hards is going to have on the mediums of Justin currently. And it looks a couple of drivers are in the pits. Craig's in the pits. Frosty's in the pits. This is a very early pit stop. I know the mediums are not good at this track, but 5 laps is not good at all. It's probably going to be definitely a 2-stopper for a couple of the drivers who have already pitted. Yes, maybe Rossi should have waited for the DRS, but he definitely wanted to make that pass as quickly as he could. As he hunts down Bingo Jimbo through the castle section of the track up ahead. Robsu now only 0.5 back of Ghost Viper. All of these drivers just within about 2 seconds of each other. I would agree, Upper, but Rossi wanted to make that pass as quickly as he could. So that's what he decided to do, and now he's hunting down P2. Ghost Viper 2.5 seconds off now. They were within around 9/10, so a little bit of mistakes in the castle section. It looks like Ghost Viper's tires are not doing him any favors as he's oversteering out of most of the corners. I think Ghost Viper is definitely going to probably come into the pits here. I don't think he wants to stay on these tires any longer than he has to. As we go to Rossi Games, who will have DRS on Bingo Jimbo, 20% ERS. It will be good enough. Doesn't look like Bingo's going to fight this very much as Bingo heads into the pit lane on the medium tires. Ghost Viper will follow as Robsu stays out an extra lap on the mediums. Thinks he can go a little bit longer. If you can go a little bit longer, then you definitely should. J-Story into the pits as well in the V-Carb as we're getting our first rounds of pit stops. Rusty Oil Can, Side Demon, jump up to P4 and P5. Those hards are doing them good work. Looks like Tar Heels and Ghost Viper very close coming out of the pits. Tar Heels gets a little bit of contact with the wall, but will still have DRS to catch back up. Bingo Jimbo comes out in P8. So it actually looks like Bingo Jimbo might have done some repairs on his car, as he was around 2 seconds ahead of Ghost Viper, but is now 2.5 behind, maybe fixing his wing. Might have had a little bit of wing damage that we didn't notice. As Ruin Rogue goes side by side with his teammate through the tricky corner of turn 3. Still almost side by side as look at Frosty try and go around the outside, trying to take advantage of the Mercedes squabbling. No luck for him as he sees that Petronas logo all over the front of his of his front bumper. Goofy also catching up to this battle. Still hasn't repaired his wing damage. Maybe he wasn't able to switch that setting on when he pitted for his hards 3 laps ago. Side Demon relatively close to Rusty as he's going to get DRS. Will a move be made here? Rusty's got a good amount of ERS. It looks like Rusty might have gone for a pure straight line setup because doesn't even... Oh, and CAC Supreme, first penalty of the day. 3 seconds for corner cutting. As our leaders come into the pit, Justin onto the mediums, Robsu onto the hards. So it looks like Justin is planning on going for a 2-stop. Going to be going medium, medium, hard, it looks like, for the Aston Martin driver as Robsu elects to go onto the hards. Perhaps a potential 1-stop for Robsu if he's able to hold onto the tires. I doubt it, though. That's a lot of laps. But we shall see. As we go through the field currently, it looks like Frosty might go 2 for 1 here on the Mercedes drivers. He's got DRS, he's got ERS. Made the pass on Ruin Rogue into turn 2. Gets past the other of CAC Supreme on the first DRS straight. That is 2 Mercedes passed. CAC's not going to let him get off easy, though. He tries to stick it around the outside. He still does. Oh, a little bit of contact for CAC and Frosty. They managed to stay going, though. CAC looking to make a move. Decides against it. Very tight portion of the track. No risk. Oh, Frosty with a little bit of oversteer as well. They all get through the castle section clean. Looks like Gold Killer just gets past Tar Heels. Tar Heels maybe struggling a little bit on his hards currently. As Rossi Games leads the field by approximately 7.4 seconds on Rusty. Side Demon and Rusty both still within a second of each other. They've been like that basically the whole race, and 5 seconds back at them is Justin KT. Ghost Viper 3 seconds back of him. Robsu actually getting by his teammate of Bingo Jimbo. Looks like Bingo Jimbo might be struggling a little bit here. He did just get the fastest lap of the race. So perhaps the two drivers can work together to try and get closer to Ghost Viper as Tar Heels comes into the pit lane. Looks like for his second stop, he may have had to make an early stop at the start of the race. Elects to put on fresh tires. Closest battle on track, a little bit of contact with the wall is Side Demon and Rusty. Side Demon trying to stick with the Kick Sauber ahead of him. Oh, a little bit of contact between them, and it looks like Side Demon makes contact with Rusty, does hold off, and keeps Rusty ahead of him. Definitely going to lose time to the cars ahead, of course. They lost about 3 seconds. But this does help Side Demon's teammate of Justin, now just 6/10 behind them. If Justin saved up enough battery, he might be able to go 2 for 1 here on the main straight. We will see. Because Side Demon and Rusty's got a decent amount of battery, but Side Demon almost has none. As we head on to the final straight. Curious to see what Justin is going to do. Going to go on board with him to see what kind of overspeed he's going to have here. Kind of surprised he's not burning his battery. He decides it now. He's got to be careful here because Rusty might be able to be pitting. And he does go 2 for 1. Rusty into the pit lane. His teammate and Rusty both into the pits. Ghost Viper jumps up to current P3 as Bingo Jimbo and Robsu, both Red Bulls fighting. Jimbo does get ahead of his teammate for now. Did use a lot of ERS as we head into straight number 1. Is Robsu going to go back at his teammate? Doesn't look like it. Looks like he's going to hold off for now. No. Makes the fake lunge just to see if he can catch his teammate out. Does not work. So it looks like we've got Cac Supreme and Frosty going at it here. Looks like Cac Supreme was actually able to get by Frosty once again. So the both... Oh! Frosty makes contact with the wall. No contact, but does lose a position to Side Demon. As Rusty holds P9 with a pit stop in hand on a couple drivers ahead of him. Gold Killer holds on to P8, Craig P7, J-Story P5 or P6, Robsu P5, Bingo Jimbo P4, Ghost Viper P3, Justin P2, and Rossi Games on the hards. Looking pretty good for him. He's got a decent gap. Of course, when he pits, he's going to probably drop down to about 6th. But he will be maybe on a better strategy. Not sure what strategy Rossi's going for, but he's into the pits now. What will Rossi go for? It's probably going to be a 2-stop. Probably medium if I had to guess. Or maybe medium hards. But for now, puts on the mediums. Gets ahead. Ghost Viper will get by. Both Red Bulls will as well. But it looks like Rossi is going to be able to stay ahead of J-Story. As they exit the pits, here he comes. And the top 5, now still in the top 5. Robsu up 6 positions. A very strong comeback drive for him after starting P10. J-Story just outside the top 5 where he started, 3.4 seconds back. A little bit of contact with the wall with one of the drivers ahead. Closest battle on track currently is Cac Supreme and Side Demon. The rest of the drivers have at least a second gap. Cac Supreme actually been able to pull off about a 3-second gap on Frosty. So maybe Frosty struggling a little bit on those tires. Maybe he got contact with the wall, which has given him a little bit of damage. Looks like we have Dozen into the pit as well. Hasn't been lucky with any safety cars yet to bring him back into the race, but he is still going just in case. As Robsu 5/10 behind his teammate. Lots of battery left compared to his teammate. It looks like he's going to make a move here. Both of them on the hard tires as well. Robsu's a little newer. Don't think that's going to make much of a difference down into turn 1. As Robsu takes back P3 as they try and hunt down the Williams ahead of them. 2 seconds ahead now. Oh, and it looks like Dozen had a little bit of issues getting through turn 3, and he does have the leader of Justin behind him, so hopefully he gets out of the way of Justin even with ghosting enabled. And we have no impeding issues. Looks like Dozen did get out of the way for the Aston Martin, so good to see. As it looks like Rusty and Side Demon back together again, joined at the hip, these two, as they try and chase down Rusty's teammate of Craig. Side Demon actually has a great exit out of that tricky chicane. Only 2/10 back of Rusty here, of course. A very difficult portion of the track to even make a move, so he's going to have to be a little patient. So we're going to head back to the front of the field here, as Ghost, Robsu, and Bingo and Rossi all relatively close to each other. Rossi right behind Bingo Jimbo. He's going to have a lot of overspeed with these medium tires. Can Rossi make the move? He's down to 4/10s. Doesn't really have much battery, though. Looks like Bingo Jimbo's running quite a high-speed setup, as Rossi's just not able to catch him on the straights. But now, the top P2 to P5 within about a tenth and a half. No passes yet. Oh, Rossi's looking to make a move. As he stays on the outside going into turn 4, he's got the better tires. He's going to have the better overspeed as he makes the move against Bingo Jimbo. Fantastic move using more of his downforce as he's probably got to get by one of the Red Bulls, but he's got another one ahead of him and the Williams ahead of him as Justin now holds a 5-second lead over the cars behind him. Looks like Dustin has left the session. I'm not sure if that was him lagging out or if him just leaving, but hopefully someone can get him an invite so he can get back in. As P2 to P5 race down into Sector 3 of the track. All of them take it quite nicely. As we are now halfway. It looks like Rusty and Side Demon both get by Craig. I'm not sure if Craig was just going a little slow or made a mistake, but 2 positions dropped for Craig as Rusty and Side Demon moved back up to P7 and P8, 5.8 seconds behind Jay's Story. We will see if they'll able to make up that ground with half the race still left as Bingo Jimbo, Robsu making a move on Ghost while Rossi and Bingo, Rossi clips the inside wall a little bit, no damage. Ghost managing to hold off Robsu for now. Bingo managed to take advantage of Rossi's mistake, gets back ahead of him. As Robsu makes the move on Ghost Viper, takes P2 away. Very hard to defend on that DRS straight without any ERS of your own. Big snap of oversteer for Bingo. I think his lack of downforce is definitely costing him in the corners. Both of them clipping the inside wall, Bingo and Rossi. As we head to the castle section, I doubt Rossi's going to even attempt a move here. Gets as close as he can to the rear of Bingo. Rossi getting dangerously close to that outside portion of the castle section. He is pushing his car to the limit. Bingo getting a big snap of oversteer again. He's done that a couple of times. His lack of wings definitely costing him a little bit in the corners. It's very hard to defend when your car does not want to do what you want it to do. Down onto the main straight, Justin with a 5.5 second lead now, slowly getting ahead of his rivals behind him. But of course, all of these drivers will have to make another pit stop, no matter what. So we will see if the pit stops shake anything up. Ghost Viper with DRS. No DRS, no battery. Bingo Jimbo, no battery, but does have ERS. Will he try and make a move on Ghost? No, he does not. They stay in line as we start lap 15. This is the closest battle on track, followed by CAC Supreme and Frosty in P10 and P11. We'll take a quick look at that, as I do believe Frosty does have DRS, but he's not going to get close enough to make a move as they themselves start lap 15. Frosty, I think that's the cause of his error. A right end plate gone from that Haas. That's definitely going to be costing him in the corners a lot. Let's head back to the front. Justin now with almost a 6-second lead ahead of Robsu as Robsu slowly starts to pull away from Ghost Viper behind him. Now over 1 second, gets out of DRS, whereas Ghost Viper still trying to hold off Bingo and Rossi. Robsu, a fantastic drive so far, up 8 positions to P2 after starting P10 with his grid penalty. Rossi all over the back of Bingo, just trying to see if he can maybe make him make a mistake. Both of them smacked the inside wall. No damage for either of them. Rossi could not be any closer than he needed to be to try and get past Bingo, but it will depend on how much DRS and ERS both of them have. Ghost Viper, of course, is going to be in a difficult position here to try and defend his position with no DRS. Bingo's got no battery, though. As Ghost Viper slips into the pit lane, maybe a little bit of a tricky move from the Williams, baiting out his rivals as he heads into an early pit stop. He will probably have to go 10 laps onto his next set of hards. J-Story gets by his teammate. Ghost has quite the gap behind Side Demon. So he's going to get out in some nice clean air. He's got Rusty about 3 seconds ahead of him. So he's got nice clean air to warm up his tires. First of the front runners to pit. Will this gamble pay off for Ghost Viper? Will he be able to pull a little bit of a gap, a little bit of an undercut? You can gain a lot of time through this portion of the track with brand new tires, so we will see what Ghost Viper can do. Justin still at the same gap, 5.8 seconds ahead of Robsu. Robsu managed a 2-second gap over his teammate, while Bingo still tries to hold off Rossi Games, who is 5/10 behind as they head down to Sector 3. I think what Rossi really needs to try and do here is he really needs to try and hold on to as much ERS as he can. Bingo is not going to have DRS this time. Ghost Viper is no longer ahead of him. This will be Rossi's best opportunity to try and get by Bingo with straight line speed. He struggled before. He's going to have good overspeed to go on board with the McLaren driver. Just holding on to his ERS a little bit. He's going to start burning it now. DRS activated. Bingo's got good straight line. I don't think he's going to be able to defend this. Rossi does get by as he takes P3, as looks like Justin decided to go for an early pit stop as well. Onto the hards, trying to block off Ghost Viper's undercut. Justin just going to get passed by J-Story. It's going to be a battle. He's going to have to try and get by before he has clean air. We do have a caution. Is that for another Aston Martin? Not sure if there was any contact maybe in the pit entrance. Don't see anything, so we'll continue for the front of the field. As Side Demon, Frosty, Cac Supreme, and Ruin Rogue all come in for their final pit stops. I did hear a little bit of contact there. It might have been from Robsu making contact with the wall. My guess is Robsu's probably going to be in this lap, followed by Rossi Games. Ooh, Rossi probably got a track limits penalty from that. Definitely looked like he went over the white lines. Oh, and we have a yellow flag at the back. I think that's Ruin Rogue who made a mistake going into turn 2. Wasn't able to get the car stopped. He drops down to P15. As we just see Justin get by J-Story on one of the back straights. Justin is currently flying. I wouldn't be surprised if he's got maybe fastest lap in him this lap. Or the lap coming up, because he did pit this lap. It is a very long lap here. As we see Rossi Games trying to defend against Bingo Jimbo. Bingo Jimbo's got a lot of ERS left. Easy pass down the main straight. As the Red Bull takes the position back, Bingo's just got so much straight line speed that even with Rossi's downforce advantage through most of the track, he's just not able to take advantage. As we do have another yellow flag, Justin does get by Robsu. Robsu decides to pit. He's going to come out just behind Ghost Viper and ahead of Rusty. Believe that is Tar Heels making a mistake near the castle section. We will see if he has any damage. Does not look like it. Going a little slow, but that is alright. As your current race leader is Bingo Jimbo Gold Killer. Getting by Craig as Craig makes his final pit stop. Goes on to his second pair of hard tires. With 8 laps to go, he will be able to make it very easily. Side Demon about 26 seconds behind Rusty. We will see if Rusty, I assume Rusty's going to make another pit stop. I doubt he's going to try and risk the one stop. He's got a big gap, but those tires are not fun at the end. As the top 5 currently sit, Rossi and Bingo will most likely have to make pit stops. Justin just 5 seconds behind P2. J-Story 3 seconds behind him, and Ghost Viper hunting down J-Story in the V-Carb as Robsu follows close behind. These top three here are potential for P2 in the race. I think Bingo Jimbo and Rossi held on to these tires a little too long. I think it's going to cost them a bit of time, but we will see as Robsu, the back of the pack here. How much straight line speed is he going to have? He looks like he's going to take it easy. Ghost Viper's not going to fight it very hard, or Robsu's not going to fight it very hard. As J-Story goes in for his final pit stop. Rusty stays out another lap. As the top two, or the P2 and P3 fight closely here, of course. Robsu gets by very easily with DRS. Robsu's on the medium, so his pace right now is higher, but those tires are not going to be as good at lap 23 or 24, so if Ghost Viper can hold on to DRS, he's got a chance. Gold Killer into the pit lane once again. But your current leader of the race, Justin KT. What a performance so far from the Aston Martin driver. Took a full season and a half off. Decided to come back for the opening of Sunday Tier 2 and has been the class of the field so far. Can he keep it up for the next 6 laps? Robsu already pulling about a second gap on Ghost Viper, so Ghost Viper just not able to have the pace to stay within a second, but if he can stay as close as he can, as Bingo Jimbo gets by Rusty Oil Can on the back straight. Rusty probably not fighting that too hard. Big tire advantage for Bingo compared to Rusty. We will see if Rusty stays out another lap. If he stays out another lap or two, he might be trying to go to the end. It will be brave of him. That'll be, what, 16 laps on the hard tires. They can probably do it, but it's not going to be good at the end. He does have an 18-second gap to the closest car he was fighting, which was Side Demon, but it looks like Rusty's going to call it quits and come into the pit lane. So with that pit stop, he's probably going to fall behind Side Demon, but he's going to be close and he's going to have a tire advantage. So we'll keep a close eye on that battle. Ghost Viper actually manages to pull the gap down a little bit to Robsu, only 8/10 now. Maybe managed to grab a little bit of DRS down one of the straights, but he is still within striking distance. As Craig gets by CAC Supreme, it looks like on the main straight. CAC fighting it. He's going to have a go back at him on the back straight here. Doesn't look like Craig's got any ERS. Neither does CAC, though. CAC's going to go for the move on the outside, gets given space, tries to go for the switchback. Fantastic move, but Craig defends it well, and CAC will have to wait another chance to try and get by the Kick Sauber. So it does look like Rossi is using quite a high downforce setup. We kind of predicted this the early stages of the race, but he's gained almost 7/10 on Ghost Viper through Sector 1 and 2. But he's also got a lot of ERS, but it looks like Ghost Viper gains a lot of time on the main straight. We're going to see. He's gained about 1/10. Of course, not having ERS is definitely going to hurt, but he gains about 1/10 without using any ERS. So Ghost Viper probably has a decent straight line advantage. Bingo Jimbo sets the fastest lap of the race at 1:41.622 as he holds on to P4, 4 seconds back of Ghost Viper. Rossi 3 seconds back of him. And Rusty was actually able to get out ahead of Side Demon. So Rusty's going to have free air, 6 seconds to J-Story. Maybe he'll be able to make that gap up before the end of the race. We will see. But for now, it looks like the closest battle is still Rusty and Side Demon, but still about a 2-second gap. Actually, I'm Goofy and Rogue are decently close. Ruin doesn't seem to get... Oh, he does get DRS. Didn't seem to activate it quite late, though. So he stays within 5/10 of Goofy. So a battle for P13 brewing here with 5 laps to go. Tar Heels deciding to go onto the soft tire to end the race, as Justin holds a 3-second lead on Robsu. Robsu's tires are not going to last much longer though, so if he plans on casting Justin, he's going to have to do it relatively soon. He is bringing that gap down pretty quickly though, as Ghost Viper has definitely fallen off the back of Robsu a little bit, now down to 3.4 seconds. It does look like Ghost Viper's tire wear is pretty bad around the track. Either it's his setup or his aggressive driving, but it does look like his tires fall off just a little bit quicker than the drivers around him, so he's going to have to try and hold on to these to defend his current podium position from Bingo Jimbo. So it looks like he'll be safe from Rossi for now, but with 4 laps to go, Ghost is going to have to try and pull out all the stops to defend against the second Red Bull driver. It's Ruin Rogue. Another 3-second time penalty for cutting corners. Not as many penalties as we thought. Tier 2's been relatively clean. It's been good battles. Not many penalties at all. We haven't seen many incidents worth looking at. As Ghost Viper, a huge oversteer moment coming out of the chicane. He's now down to only 0.8 ahead of Bingo Jimbo. Maybe feeling a little bit of pressure here. As Gold Killer does get past Frosty on the main straight at the back of the track between turn 2 and 3. And it looks like Frosty missed the corner. Frosty did miss the corner. Brutal for the Haas driver, and he's going to absolutely heat the hell out of his rear tires doing that burnout. That is not going to be fun to deal with. That puts I'm Goofy and Ruin Rogues in striking distance to maybe make a move here, depending on how bad Frosty's tires got from that mistake. We will keep an eye on that as we head up back to the front of the field. Bingo Jimbo making the move on Ghost Viper. Probably not going to be very easy to defend. No, it is not. Gets ahead. Of course, Ghost Viper needs to try and focus on just staying within ERS and DRS range. I'm Goofy with a 3-second time penalty. That's going to hurt him. He is ahead of Ruin Rogue. This Ghost Viper down to 9/10 behind Bingo. He's got to try and keep that gap within a second. This is the closest battle on track. We do have Craig going back at Side Demon. Side Demon's tires may be dying a little bit here. Craig's going to try and get past his teammate, his rival that his teammate has battled all race. Goofy and Ruin Rogue 4 seconds behind Frosty. We'll keep an eye on that gap as well with 3 laps to go. Justin has managed to equalize that gap to Robsu about 3.5 seconds now. It was as low as 2.5. He's pulled a second in the past couple of laps. Oh, big contact for CAC Supreme behind them on the inside wall. Still no damage. Looks like the F1 gods are being quite generous to our drivers today. We've seen quite heavy contact not be punished. As Ghost Viper down to 2 seconds behind Bingo, just not able to keep up with the drivers ahead of him. Odyssey may even have to start looking behind him to Rossi Games, who's 3.8 seconds back. Will he be able to hold off the McLaren? We will see. Bingo Jimbo probably does have a tire advantage on his teammate now. We will see how close he can get. Because the difference between 6 old mediums and 5 old hards, you wouldn't think it's a lot. Craig finally getting by Side Demon using the DRS on the main straight. gets ahead of the Aston Martin. Current Kicksauber P7 and P8. As we head back, Bingo Jimbo's made up around almost a second since the last time we were talking about him on the main straight, down to 2.3 seconds. Robsu's tires falling off a cliff here with just over 2 laps to go. Now down to 1.8 seconds. This is going to be close. Bingo is going to catch him by lap 26. Robsu a little bit more ERS though, but we know Bingo Jimbo's setup is quite high on the top end speed, so we will see if he makes up any more ground down the straight on his teammate. Now down to 1.7 seconds. He's got no ERS though. The gap stays about stagnant, 1.7 seconds. I think Bingo Jimbo's got to try and think about saving some battery to try and make a late lap fight to his teammate. Down to 1.5 seconds. It looks like he's just able to get out of the corners so much easier than his teammate. Now down to 1.3. The time is dropping fast. I would not be surprised if Bingo Jimbo is in DRS range by halfway through the lap. He's already in within a second here. Robsu is struggling very hard on these tires. Honestly, with his tires like this, he may not even be able to hold off his teammate starting the final lap. We can see the gap already. Justin now 5 seconds ahead of Robsu. His pace has fallen off quite hard here. Bingo Jimbo's just got to be patient. He's got to save up ERS because the easiest way to get by his teammate is getting a better exit out of the start of Sector 3 and using as much ERS as he can. As they head through just before the beginning of Sector 3, now a 5/10 gap between Robsu and Bingo. Robsu with a little bit more ERS. Big slide from Robsu. Bingo Jimbo is going to have a move on here. He's going to have ERS. He's going to have DRS. He activates it. Gap down to 3 seconds, or 3/10. Robsu did save up a lot of ERS. It's going to be close. Bingo makes a move on the inside as they go side by side. Still neck and neck. Bingo with the slight advantage. He's going to have the inside line. Oh, a little bit of contact for Robsu as he clips the inside wall. Robsu is going to have DRS, or at least he should. Looks like none of them got DRS. They may have crossed the line at the exact same time for the DRS detection point. None of them got DRS down the main straight, or the back straight of turn 2 and 3. So it looks like Robsu is now at a disadvantage, 8/10 behind his teammate Bingo Jimbo, pulling ahead every corner. Ghost Viper has managed to stabilize a little bit and to stay ahead of Rossi Games. He's got a 2-second gap. That's going to be probably it for P4 and P5, but P2 and 3 is still up for grabs if Robsu is able to manage to bring anything out of his tires. He's got to try and get DRS. His most important aspect here is to be within a second and hope that Bingo has not saved any ERS. It's going to be close. He's going to have a fantastic exit out of this corner. A little bit of snap of oversteer. He's got a 10th to make up before the detection point. Don't think it's going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. Justin crosses the line. What a return for the Aston Martin driver. He wins the beginning of a great season ahead for him. Takes the victory at Baku. Bingo Jimbo with a late surge manages to get by his teammate. Grabs P2, a great race from the Red Bulls P2 and P3. Robsu with a great comeback, jumps up to P3 from P10. Ghost Viper did his best, tried to hold on to that final podium position, just didn't have the pace in the tires at the end. He holds on to P4. Rossi Games in the McLaren holds on to P5. J Story drops just one position in the race, goes down to P6. Rusty passes or stays P7. A good result from him. I believe he jumped up good amount of positions that race. Yep. P2 for Rusty, or 2 positions for Rusty, 4 positions for Craig. Gold Killer 3 positions down. Side Demon jumps up 4 positions to get P10. Cac Supreme P11. I'm Goofy in P12. Ruin Rogue just about to cross the finish line. He will be P12. Well, he's got to make sure he actually makes it to the line here. And he does. Ruin Rogue now down to the start straight. He ends in P13. Frosty, what could have been, looked like his pace was a lot quicker than it was. Gets P14. As Tar Heels takes P15 and Dins P16. Maybe not the most exciting Baku race we've ever seen. We didn't even get a safety car. So hats off to Tier 2. From what we saw, very clean race from everybody. According to the game, Justin, race winner, fastest lap for Bingo Jimbo. Driver of the day, Robsu, most overtakes, Side Demon, and cleanest driver, Robsu. Here is your final finishing order without anyone taking a look at stewards. Justin, once again, takes home a victory after a season and a half off. Doesn't look like he lost any form as he takes the first initial advantage in PRL's 16th season for Tier 2. Bingo Jimbo, a great start to his PRL career, grabs a P2, maybe a P1 if he was able to hold on to his tires a little bit better. Robsu takes the final podium position in P3. The top 5 finished off with Ghost Viper in P4 and Rossi Games in P5. And that is it. Thank you everyone for joining me, Gourd Sauce, once again in PRL's 16th season. Always glad to see that Tier 2 on Sundays is back. Glad to see that the interest in the league is growing. And you guys got a lot to look forward to. We've still got Tier 1, which will I be taking part in about, I think that's 45 minutes, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys can do the conversion on your own there. But that will be Tier 1. That will be streamed as well. So make sure to tune into that. It's going to be quite the race. The best of the best in PRL are going to be going at it at Baku as well. And then, of course, don't forget, PRL does have their midweek tier as well on Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We do have 2 tiers in that as well. Tier 1 and Tier 2 will be going racing at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and I am just going to confirm what our season opener is. But I do believe, if I'm correct, that it is Abu Dhabi. Oh no, Saudi Arabia. Abu Dhabi was the preseason race. So make sure to stay on board with that as midweek goes racing in Saudi Arabia on March 18th. But first, we've got to focus on Tier 1 going racing at Baku in about 45 minutes. Thank you everyone for joining me. I was your host, Gourd Sauce. Thank you, and have a good rest of your day.